The problem is, we have been lied to. But seriously, you've probably heard that the best way to succeed is to set a super specific goal. But actually, the goal itself is way less important than creating a system that makes hitting that goal almost inevitable. Which is what author James Clear teaches in his New York Times bestselling book, Atomic Habits. For example, say you're a coach and your goal is to win a championship. But just having that goal will not get you that ring. What will is having a system in place. How you recruit players, manage assistant coaches, and run practices. And we can apply the same thinking to starting your dream business too. So that by the end of this video, you will know how to set up your own goal-hitting system. So that this is the year where you finally get your dream business going. The first thing that we're gonna do that is going to make a really big difference is that we're gonna take a completely different approach that's going to make getting started feel so much easier. Because let's be honest, starting a business can be incredibly overwhelming. But around here, we like to keep it simple. Because wouldn't you rather get one thing done and done well versus having 1,000 big ideas, but not a single one accomplished? In fact, that is one of my best tips for completing more of your to-dos. Have fewer of them. That doesn't mean you're being less ambitious though. It just means that you're being smarter with your time. Because when you're first starting out, you probably don't have a lot of that. You probably have a job and other responsibilities too. So what I recommend, and this is what I do at the beginning of every year too, is to set one word or theme for the year. Some examples of words I've used in past years are profitability and growth. But of course, choose the word that makes the most sense for you and your business right now, because it's gonna set the focus for your entire system. In fact, you are going to use this word as your filter for every item that you put on your to-do list. Is this task contributing to my word for the year? If it doesn't, delete it. Seriously. Because even if it's objectively going to be a good thing for your business, if it's not contributing to your focus for the year, it's just a distraction right now. For example, a few years ago, my word for the year was space. I wanted more empty space on my calendar, space to think, and space to spend time on my personal hobbies. So even though I knew that I could grow faster if I published more social media content, I instead decided to delete social media off of my to-do list for about 2 years. Spoiler alert, I actually ended up doubling the size of my business over that period, which speaks to the power of this system. Next, if your task is something that is aligned with your word for the year, but doesn't need to be done by you specifically, you can pay someone else to do it for you, AKA delegate it. For me, back when my word was grow, I knew I needed to have a website where I could eventually blog and drive traffic to the website. But I also didn't want to waste my time trying to figure out this whole new skill set. So instead, I hired an expert to do it for me. And this is especially important if you're trying to start your business while working a full-time job right now. Because often we can get bogged down by how hard it is to do both. But don't forget the unexpected upside. Sometimes that means you have a bit more disposable income, which you can then use to delegate some things to others so that you're able to make the most of your precious and limited time while growing your business faster. After deleting and delegating, all that's now left on your to-do list are your do's. These are the things to which you can confidently say, yes, this moves my business towards my word for the year. Now, this next system builder might seem a little bit counterintuitive, but it's actually one of the most important. And I had to learn this one the hard way. See, I love working and I work hard. But when I first started my business, I was almost like a robot, working so much that I just started resenting my business. I forgot that even robots need to recharge their batteries. But in all seriousness, this is something that can shut down your system if you're not careful. Here's how best-selling author Tim Ferriss explains it in his very popular book, Tools of Titans. The most successful people have their weekend planned out by Tuesday. That's how seriously they take recharging, which is a relief, especially if you're an introvert like me, because it means that you can and you should put just as much thought and intention into planning your weekends and your vacations as you do your work. Because rest is not an afterthought. So the second thing you need to do for yourself is to plan your vacations. Seriously, now. For me, at this point, I plan my breaks around Steven's vacation time because his schedule is a lot less flexible than mine. But I know that every quarter he's gonna have some time off and we're gonna wanna spend it together recharging. A lot of the time, because we have a dog and we're homebodies, we might just rent an Airbnb with a really big space for Falco to run around in. If you're new around here, we live in New York City. So it's a great place to live, but not a place with a lot of yards. But the point is not what you do, because you probably already know what helps you recharge. It's to intentionally recharge. So, quick action item for you. Take a look at the first 3 months of this year and pick out the dates where you are going to be resting. Notice that I didn't say plan your entire year of vacations, because things do change. So I think it's better and more achievable to start by planning it quarter to quarter. Then, once you've got these dates on the calendar, the next question is, what do I need to work around to be able to make these dates work for me? The reason that this is so important to your business strategy is because you're training your mind to realize a key truth. Your business supports your life, not the other way around. And one of my favorite ways to do this, which is also the third step in your system plan, is to figure out how and when you work. For example, I am super introverted, so I know that I need to limit my social interactions or else I'm gonna get drained really fast. In my system, what that translates into is that the first and third week of every month are for meetings. So on my Google Calendar, where I plan my team and client meetings, only those 2 weeks are available. It's already set up in my system. All the other weeks are set aside for my favorite thing to do, deep creation. To do this for yourself, it comes down to being non-ambiguous with what you want and need, and then planning out your work structure around that. This way, you also minimize having to scramble to decide what to do in the moment or getting drained by something that you aren't prepared for, because you've already worked out what works with your system. But I do have to warn you, I wouldn't recommend making it too detailed. Like every day at 1 p.m., I have to do this, because you still want room for flexibility. Plus, having too much detail at the beginning of the year is kind of silly, because you don't know how the entire year is gonna play out. I've had years where I started the year on one thing, and then halfway through the year, I was a totally different person on a totally different path. This is more about having a general structure to keep you disciplined, because I truly believe that it's that discipline that gives you the freedom you want. So up until this point, we've talked about a lot of super tactical stuff. And I actually do have one more really practical tip for you. But first, we gotta take a second and get the right context. Because without this piece, a lot of what we've covered is going to be way less effective. And that's the fundamental truth, that even with all the strategy and the logic in the world, we aren't seeing the whole picture until we add in emotion, because that's what really drives us more than anything. So you want to factor that into your system by asking yourself, how do I want to feel about this year? This isn't just woo-woo stuff either. In fact, visualization has been shown to unlock certain areas in our brain that make our goals feel real. Here's how to make this work for you. Visualize how you want to feel at the end of 2025. You don't know the specifics of what you've done, but you feel satisfied and motivated by what's to come. Just by doing this, your brain is activating these same neural pathways that it would as if you were actually in that situation. So basically, you're taking your dreams from something that feels vague in your mind to something that feels tangible and achievable. High five to that. And if you want to take this even further, you can create a physical vision board with images that evoke the emotions that you want to feel for this year. But you might also be wondering, hey, how come we've gotten this far in the system and I still have yet to set an actual goal? because that's usually the first thing people do at the start of a new year. The reason that it's the last step is because you need the first 4 things in place first to make sure that you have the system in place that's going to make your goal of starting your business this year actually happen. But here's the key. Don't set one big, vague goal for the entire year, because the truth is, you don't know where your business might be by the end of this year. Instead, you want to set a goal for just the first quarter. A quarter is perfect because it's like a sprint. It gives you enough time to get focused and get a lot done, but not so much that you just feel overwhelmed. So you're essentially asking yourself, what do I want to get done in the next 90 days? See, it feels a lot more concrete, right? And you can make it even more tangible by asking, what do I need to do to get to this goal? When you're starting out in your business, I recommend setting a discipline goal that depends solely on you, not what anyone else is doing. For example, don't set a goal of making X sales or hitting X revenue numbers, because that also depends on other people deciding to buy from you. Especially in the beginning, that can feel really demotivating because you're not in control of other people. But if you set a goal that you can control and will help you get to the goal that you want, like, I am going to publish daily weekday content every weekday this quarter. This way, there is no ambiguity. You've got such a clear focus that it's easier to be focused and to get done what you know you need to do. Plus, now that you've got a full system, everything starts falling into place, especially because you've also strengthened your system by fueling it with your why and the emotions behind it. But let's also be honest, because starting a business is more than just strategy, because you're also juggling your job, your family, and all of your other responsibilities on top of starting a new business. In my experience, having helped well over 3,000 people start and grow their own online businesses, I've noticed that there are 4 habits that the most successful new entrepreneurs share. These can make a huge difference in your own success, which is why in this next video, I'm gonna break them down for you and show you how to implement them for yourself.